First time in a long time, but back like I never left. Taking each day as it comes, you know me, I don't read ahead. Watch me burn down everything, BDE on the TV set. When I'm in control on the road, you could never really know what's up next.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Braden Herrington here with Davie Portman for upNXT. You found us at postwrestling.com, whatever podcast app you're using. And it's Tuesday, 10:05 p.m. and we are
live on youtube.com/postwrestling. Hello, YouTube room. How we doing?
Hello. Hello, all the YouTubers, all the postmarks out there, all the NXT friends. And we'll always be your NXT friends. And we're here today to talk about some NXT and then some. But yes, we do this every Tuesday. Hello, everybody. We're here to talk about some NXT. And we're on the road to evolution.
Yes,
some would
road
say.
to evolution, the Great American Bash. So much going on. So many roads. So little time.
Yeah. And a big question. Who's next? And it was answered last night on Raw. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about that, but I know you're very excited and maybe conflicted. Are you changing your flight to Dallas to Atlanta now?
No, I cheap out. I always get the cheap. Like, there ain't any changes. No refunds, no schedule changes, nothing. I'm booked in for All In. But yeah, adding something pretty big for that Saturday night's main event.
Absolutely.
Goldberg headlining.
Goldberg. Yeah. You think it's his last match?
I don't know. I could see us having a little run till SummerSlam, but it does make sense it being Atlanta, it being his last match. And also the way he's moving, I don't know if he's got much in him. He seemed to struggle climbing into the ring, to be honest.
Climbing and walking. He couldn't walk. He couldn't walk. I was definitely worried just seeing him walk to the ring. I was like, wait, this dude's going to have a match? And it gave me flashbacks of like the Undertaker match with him. And like he's had some good ones, in his like that run from a little while ago, like that Mania Brock match. I mean, we were at obviously the Toronto Brock match, the 90-second match. He was injured before training into that match. And I'm wondering if did he say that he was injured going into this now too?
He did say recently in an interview that he injured his leg, I believe, training to get ready for this run. So obviously he had a bit of a limp there, but yeah, he's had some good stuff. I thought the Bobby Lashley match he had, I think that was a Saudi show, Last Man Standing or whatever it was. It was some sort of stipulation. I thought that was quite enjoyable. As long as he can hit a spear and a jackhammer, that's all you really need, right?
I'm surprised they're booking him on Saturday night's main event and not WWE Speed, because like 3-minute matches, kind of where his wheelhouse is a little bit there. But yeah, I'm expecting a sprint. Gunther has been he's had an interesting year so far, and interesting meaning he lost at WrestleMania, got the title back, but then had that weird Pat McAfee thing, and then now this. So like, part of me wants this to be great and wants this. I'm interested to watch it, but there's two paths you can go that day: is watch Goldberg and see if it's either like the car crash. There's two roads you can go: Kenny Okada, Goldberg, Gunther. And like, honestly, they both sound really interesting. Like Goldberg, if this is his last match, you would hope it's like in Atlanta, like it is. So there's interest there. Like I think
Gunther is someone they trust, right? Like Gunther is someone who could potentially get something out of him.
You'd hope so.
Like he just looks like it's weird how long this retirement run has been for Bill Goldberg. Like,
what do you mean?
He came back in 2016 to WWE for that Survivor Series, and it's been like it's almost a decade of sort of these one last matches that we think we're getting.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't necessarily like the dude.
Like, this run is longer than his whole WCW WWE run put together.
Brutal. Yeah, I don't know. there's interest. There's definitely like intrigue of like, okay, what's that going to look like? Is it going to be a 3-minute match, as Gunther has joked about since on social media? Is it going to be 5-minute match, 10-minute match? Is there going to be some smoke and mirrors? The barricade spot's going to happen. Like they're going to do all the classic WWE stuff to hide whatever, injuries if he is actually injured. But
it is a weird one, isn't it? Because you ideally want, like, he should go out on his back. Like, he shouldn't be, unless you want to do a little run with the championship that ends at SummerSlam. Like, you want to do a little, like, most people in their last match, they have something fairly substantial, even if their body's breaking down. But Goldberg, like, that's not his style. So is he going to lose in just a 3-minute match, which just feels so anticlimactic after he's, not wrestled for a couple of years and just comes back and loses in 3 minutes? I don't really know. I am curious. I think Goldberg, if you've been listening to us for a while, Goldberg and Shane O'Mac are kind of my guilty pleasures. And for some reason, I've seen Goldberg wrestle live more times than I really should have. But yeah, I am curious by it. I think it's a good move. Putting it on Saturday night's main event, it does make it feel special. It does make it feel like a big deal. But I am curious. Just what is this going to look like?
Curious is the right word, because it's going to be not good. Like the Pat McAfee one. Pat McAfee can actually like move around and do stuff, and I thought that was a really major letdown. That what I like hyped it up to be in my head, and I'm gonna try not to do that because it's like 58-year-old Goldberg, but like fuck it, have him beat Gunther for the strap, go on a little run, SummerSlam, Gunther wins it back, or I don't know, something like that. But curious is the right word, because it's like, do we need to see Goldberg wrestle in 2025? No, but fuck it, if he was gonna do one match, I guess Gunther would be the guy. Like he's the The funny thing is, I think back to the promo with Bret Hart and Gunther, where he said Bill Goldberg's my favorite wrestler. Yeah. And in this one, his reactions are like, just shut the fuck up, like old timer essentially. So it is intriguing. Do you think Bret does the run in to screw Goldberg in this?
Bret's special guest ref or something?
Because the only other, because there was clearly something with him and AEW, like maybe he was going to do a match there. And then as soon as the deal didn't go through, he was very like anti AEW. So you kind of knew he was coming back to WWE. And I would say the one match that I would have wished we got instead is Goldberg versus Orange Cassidy. I think that's the money match that we'll never see. So only in your 2K video games. But I don't know. I'm like,
I mean, I think if we were to do like a little mini run with him, there's only really one other match I'd be interested in seeing, and that's Bron Breakker. And it's something I suggested on Poisonrana on Sunday when I had Neil on the show. It could be a good way to have, like, I don't think this group is necessarily helping Bron Breakker since the addition of Bronson Reed, because they both feel just generic heavies stood behind Seth, where Bron Breakker has so much charisma as a solo act. Could you build a Goldberg Bron Breakker match for SummerSlam, which Breakker wins and Seth cashes on him? And then you can spin that off. You can have Breakker as this badass babyface solo going against Seth Rollins into kind of the fall. And that way you kind of serve a lot of things. You can have the Goldberg Bron match, which there needs to be at least an interaction between those two, right? Like it's Breakker's favorite wrestler. He's even got the tattoo. Like it's like that would be something I'd like to see if it isn't just a one and done thing. But the fact that it is in Atlanta, you would think like that is where you'd want to retire. So yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, no. Again, it's easy to just be like, wow, bringing back Goldberg, it's gonna suck. And like it probably will, but I'm willing to let it play out. Obviously,
I'm more forgiving when you know this is it. Like this is the retirement. Like it's not overstaying its welcome. It's 3 weeks build for this, and if it is till SummerSlam's not too long away, and then it's done. Whereas when he's come back before, and it's like, oh my god, Goldberg's coming back again, taking a spot. He does deserve retirement. He's a huge name from that like Monday Night Wars Attitude Era. kind of time, and who a lot of people still remember. And I think if they do the advertising right for this Saturday night's main event, it could do really well numbers wise, because I think you're going to get those lapsed fans who are just see a commercial and you go, wait, sorry, Goldberg's wrestling again on TV?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like so All In's during the day, and that's when Great American Bash is going up against it. And then Sunday night's main event in the night of that Saturday, and then the Sunday is Evolution. So that is a heavy weekend of wrestling there down the line. So I know we've promised best match ever, Omega Okada. We will be doing this show in a couple weeks over on our Patreon. But Davey, best match ever, Bill Goldberg. if it's a SummerSlam is the last time, then got some time.
Like it's
what would it be?
Off the top of my head, the Brock match at in Orlando, DDP, Scott Steiner.
We've watched the DDP one. We reviewed that pay-per-view.
We reviewed that. There's a really good one, if I remember right, against Scott Steiner in WCW.
The cattle prod one, obviously.
Maybe not. Like maybe that chamber match, just like I know he loses it, but when he comes, there's that like 2 minutes where he just comes in and kills everyone in the chamber before his luster has completely gone in that initial WWF run.
Brutal.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to go to cage match for that. But I'm down. I like things that don't take too much homework, and just watching 5 Goldberg matches. Probably won't take up too much of my time.
Well, all of those matches will probably equal to one of the Kenny Omega Okada matches. But, different strokes for different folks, so you can love both. Okay, people?
Oh, that's right. There's a Ravens Rules match as well, apparently, which was
interesting.
Bad, but,
Yeah. Well, Bill Goldberg versus Gunther in WWE. And that's going to be a crazy weekend of wrestling. If you don't follow us, if you have Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, Poison Rana Pod, give us a follow there. There's a Facebook group you can join as well. But search Poison Rana Pod in your podcast app as well, and give us a follow, because we do tons of other shows and we talk about all the other wrestling in the world. And as you may have heard, we will be doing some kind of podcast vlog thing while we go to Dallas for All In. We're very excited to do some shows and live reactions from there and everything. And we're going to be meeting our boy See No Evil down there, and maybe any of the listeners. So let us know, because we're going to have a fun time that weekend in the D. But give us a follow in your podcast app. If you don't check out, Davey, you just went live on Sunday with our man Neil.
Yeah.
You were talking about all the other wrestling, Swerve and Ospreay, all the good stuff. And we will be going live this Sunday at 2 p.m. where we'll talk about all the stuff going on SmackDown, WWE, AEW, and so much more.
AEW Grand Slam tomorrow in Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
So we're talking a lot about that.
Really looking forward to that. Yeah, really looking forward to that.
I did watch a bit of the AAA show the other day. It still does feel very authentically AAA. For good and mainly for bad. But
they didn't Americanize it?
Not yet. So maybe talk a little bit about that as well on Sunday.
Absolutely, yeah. I know there's some other stuff I want to catch up on. I still haven't caught up on the final. Everyone keeps talking about that finals match from the Super Junior, so I might have to check that out. But I know that I don't think it'll be by the time Sunday, but in a few weeks, I'll definitely have to check it out, because the Crazy Monkey, Jun Kasai, taking on El Desperado. They said one last time, we're going to have a match, and it's going to be like a death match super showdown. And David, you remember the last time these two got together?
Yeah,
they nearly killed each other.
Yeah, it was disgusting.
So this is one I'd say to be on the lookout for, because some shit is going to go down in that match, and I'm definitely looking forward to that. I'm bummed. I have booked a vacation later this year where just by a day when I land, I'm missing Jun Kasai's own death match show at Corcoran Hall. So I'm pretty bummed about missing him live, but I have just secured tickets for DDT Peter Pan at Corcoran Hall. So my wrestling bucket list is being checked off later this year, and I'm very excited. So hey, any Japanese listeners out there, I will be going to that show. So let me know if you're going as well. But check out all the other shows that we have on our free feed, because tomorrow we are recording a new episode on the Patreon, but I thought I would be nice and release the last time we did a Champ is Here. And I'm going to release it for free on our Poison Rana free feed, where we were joined by Benno and Hamflet, Grapple, What Culture, and Benno and Hamflet in your house joined us for the Champ is Here episode 9. And I'm going to give it out to you guys for free. And we've been going through John Cena's title reigns and all the stuff in between. It's a whole profile series on John Cena. The last time is now, but the champ is here. And Benno, Hamflet, we had some gags, we had some laughs, and we discussed how much we loved guest GMs back in 2010, 11 wrestling, and and our hatred for the John Cena heel run that is happening right now. So a very fun show, and check it out if you haven't listened already. And we love those guys for joining us. But that's episode 9. Episode 10, we are recording tomorrow, and this show one day will be compromised to a permanent end, but it's not getting there quite yet, because we will be looking at John Cena's feud with CM Punk. And who better to join us than Chicago's very own CM Scrump, who will make the Champ is Here very scrumptious tomorrow. We are going to chat about John Cena's 10th WWE title win and reign. And Davey has promised, I have promised, Scrump, you have to be promised, we will not discuss Chipotle on this show. So yeah, I'm very excited.
I've got a rule for this one. Normally we like to get 2 guests on this show, but our good friend Scrump, we've not done a show with Scrump for a while, but
shout out PWT Cast.
Does like to talk a lot and does like to go on tangents. So we're keeping it just the 3 of us. And Chipotle conversations, banned. How you guys first met each other, banned. Stories about ex-girlfriends, banned. We have a lot to get through on this show, because not only is it the pipe bomb, CM Punk, Money in the Bank, which just the timing of this show is bizarre, because obviously we're gearing up to just in a couple of weeks, CM Punk versus John Cena one last time. But also on this show is John Cena versus R-Truth for the WWE Championship, which is taking place this Friday on SmackDown as well. Hilarious. This is the timing of this is weird, and obviously we couldn't have planned this ahead. We started this project 10 months ago, and here we are. But yeah, very interesting time. We've got the Miz and Morrison cage match. We've got the Miz I Quit match, and all the stuff. Cena being drafted to SmackDown, back to Raw. It is that time, 2011. Really interesting show. I think this one's going to be to look back on.
And it features like one of my favorite promos ever. Like, I swear to God, I watched this. This is one of the most American things to ever happen.
This isn't the pipe bomb you're talking
about.
No,
I'm not the pipe bomb. Fuck that. I'm talking about John Cena telling the crowd that Osama bin Laden was killed, and the crowd, like the crowd shots are amazing. So USA, baby. Really looking forward to doing this show. We've had so much fun with a lot of guests in the past, and Scrump, PWT Cast. We haven't done a show with him in a while, but he's our buddy down in Chicago, and we're going to chat all about John Cena's 10th title reign. That is a show you get tomorrow. We're recording for our Patreon, plus so many other shows. Check out patreon.com/Poisonrana. Even check out our Spotify page. You can see all the shows we do. It's $5 to become a friend per month, and you get that show. You'll get our movie reviews. We just put out 2 different movie reviews. We celebrated Friday the 13th the only way we know how. There won't be another one for a while, but we looked at Friday the 13th, Part 4. Corey Feldman in a bald cap, Crispin Glover dancing, if you can call it that, and Jason finally using a machete the right way. So much in 80s cheese as we looked at Jason Part 4. We also reviewed and up yours. Shout out Justin, our world champ patron, who selected Hot Fuzz. We reviewed that movie as well. We recently reviewed Big Trouble in Little China. We've been all over the place with the wrestling, NXT TakeOver, the first one. It's been everywhere. It's $5. You get so many shows, and we appreciate all our listeners and patrons out there. It's been a lot of fun doing these bangers, and we're not stopping, because we're going to be doing Best Match Ever, Kenny and Okada. We're going to be doing, I guess, a Bill show down the line. I was thinking, would it be too like out of place, or would it be too wrong of me to suggest we review WCW World War III coming up, because it kind of every time
you say this every time one nation bombs another nation. I should be laughing, but
peace and love out there, everybody. Peace and love. Sometimes, wrestling is a great escape, and wrestling podcast even better. So appreciate the love wherever you are. Peace and love to you. And if you're feeling down today for whatever, you see the news, everything sucks. I don't know. I just saw they're making Harold and Kumar 4. So you know what? Let's keep on living. Don't believe in your dreams. All right.
So as you mentioned, $5 to become a patron, but there are other ways you can support us by just subscribing to our free feed. Search for Poison Rana wherever you get your podcasts. We've got plenty of there you can enjoy. Not only our Sunday weekly roundup review shows, but we have a bunch of free stuff. Braden's dropping that episode 9 of The Champ Is Here. You can find a couple of our previous episodes of that. We have some old best match evers on there, some movie reviews, such as we've gone through every single Batman movie, every single every single Halloween movie. But we also have a show called What Up Doe, where once a month, John Cena and B Detroit get together. They catch up on the world of wrestling. They catch up on video games, hip hop, pop culture, movies, the lot. It's a fantastic show. One of my favorites to listen to. I know John Cena just got the Switch, so he'll be talking all about that. And they're recording a brand new episode this Saturday for you all to enjoy.
Yes, they're going to be recording a show. I think they have a lot to talk about between all the wrestling going on. And, they did a special covering the Drake and Kendrick feud, which they love to talk about on their show. But there's a new feud that might be starting. Shout out Pusha T and Travis Scott. And I know the lads will be talking about that. So look for that
I thought
show.
You were going to say Jagmeet Singh and Drake this time, which is
just
embarrassing.
That's hilarious. That's the most NDP thing ever. So Drake called him a goof because he was there. Yeah, pretty funny. So lots of stuff. Poison Rana, give us a follow. Again, Instagram, Twitter, if you use those things, Facebook. We're all on all things, and keep updated with lots of the shows that we do. And we will be live this Sunday to chat about a whole lot more. But I know we're going to talk. We have some things to talk about. We're going to talk more about Goldberg setting up that match, some SmackDown, AEW, and everything. But I think we also will have a discussion about the Beast Mortis, because the Internet Wrestling Society have found out that the Beast Mortis, TMZ reporting, is now dating Mercedes Moné. And the wrestling world is shocked that not only is this man extremely handsome under that beast mask, he's now a lawyer and a pretty sick wrestler. So yeah, the world is buzzing about the hottest wrestling couple going. So expect him to be booked on All In weekend. he fucking should be, because we love the Beast Mortos here. So that'll be a topic this Sunday, I'm sure. Shout out couples in wrestling. But we're here to talk about some NXT, and I think it's time we can do that. We're here to talk about some NXT from Tuesday, June 17th from the Performance Center down in Florida. Oh, sweet Florida. We have a recap here of what's been going on with the Evolution 2 Eliminator matches that have been set up for us here tonight. 4 singles matches. The winners will advance to a Fatal 4-Way next week, where the winner of that will face JC Jane at Evolution 2.
WWE just love their tournaments and their 4-way matches at the moment, don't they?
Like, why not do like 2? I don't. It's kind of weird that you would have to win singles matches to then go to the Fatal 4-Way. But yeah, I don't know. You could have done 2 Fatal 4-Ways and then the winners face each other. But I don't know. Anyways,
we're getting spread your programming out, and you don't have to cram a tournament into 2 weeks. I don't know. Yeah, it's Neil and I went off on tournaments on Sunday's show. But.
Shout out tournaments. We love tournaments, don't we, in wrestling? But yes, we got some good matches out of it, and I'm sure the 4-Way next week will be pretty good as well. But one of these matches, the Evolution Eliminators, as they're calling it, isn't. I reckon, doesn't AEW call their matches like that too? Eliminators, when like you're fighting the champion
tournament. Yeah. Your number one contenders in general there.
Right.
Eliminator tournaments. Yeah.
We have Jaida Parker, who is making her entrance here. but she is attacked during her entrance by her opponent, Thea, trying to get some revenge on Jaida for attacking her. And the ref just rings the bell, and the match starts off with Thea just beating down on her. But Jaida comes back. They're kind of fighting each other ringside, and they're slamming each other backs into the apron here. Jada's rocking the like NWO colors, but Razor Ramon drip gear. Looks pretty nice. This is when Thea comes back with an exploder, but then Jaida comes back with the sleeper hold and then puts it in for a while and then does like a swinging neck crank. I thought was pretty cool. Then some snap suplexes as well. Looked very nice. Eventually, Thea sends her into the stairs as we go to break. When we come back from P&P, there's like the high step butt attack in the corner. The hypnotic is countered into a Kimura, and it's locked in pretty tight and for a while here. And when the ref is on the other side of Thea, while this move is tightly locked in now, Jaida uses the other hand that the ref can't see to tap out on Thea. Thea releases the hold and says, "Hey, I won." And the ref's like, What are you talking about? Jaida hits the hypnotic sort of and pins Thea Hale and advances to the four-way. She won, but she did it in a sleazy way here. The ref didn't see the tap. There's some controversy in NXT.
I actually really like this finish. It's not something we've seen a whole lot of, and I think it was a way of kind of making, it's a referee mistake, but it's not him just playing blind to, I'm just going to look in this direction while you cheat. It like we can see from this picture here on the screen, like he's checking the actual like shoulder, what's going on. Jada's tapping with the other hand, so he's going to miss this. I thought it was a clever distraction, clever cheat it, whatever you want to call it, to lead to the finish. I quite liked it. And I thought the match was all right as well. I kind of, Thea, like I feel, has taken a step back. There's a few characters where in NXT, they sort of they're really hot for a period of time and then really seem to be cooled off. And Thea's kind of in that place at the moment. Obviously, she's still very young in this system. So there's plenty of time, but I think she was such an over character, and she is good. I think the way she locks in that Kimura kind of out of nowhere is pretty fun and pretty impressive. But Jaida, obviously, they see a lot in. They've been pushing her for a while, but I would like to see a bit more from Thea and have a bit more sustained push.
Jada's super over. Like the crowd were really in her corner. It's kind of weird because Thea used to have the crowd behind her a lot, and that's kind of since losing the Chase U character and since returning, we don't really see a lot of the Thea that like got her popular, like the frantic energy and like always getting super hyped and everything. Like she's not doing any of that, and she's not in Chase U, so it's kind of like that's all been stripped away, and now she's just like another wrestler. So I think it's almost like a reset for her a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what maybe we need to figure out the character, like what she's doing. But Jaida, like, it has impressed. This wasn't my favorite match on this show, but it had some fun stuff. And I think you're right. The finish is creative. I think Thea could have a gripe that maybe eventually she does a heel turn or something. I don't know.
I mean, I could see us getting the rematch, or I could see Thea coming out and taking out Jaida in that four-way next week.
Because, like, she cheated right there. And if Ava is a good GM, she would have there'd be some justice for Thea Hale in this match. But a fun match to start off this little tournament that we got going on. We see Inamura, Briggs, and Elijah backstage, and they're getting ready for their 6-man tag match tonight. And Elijah says that First Class is the worst tag team in TNA, and they make TNA look bad, and says that I got to go tune my guitar and get ready for our match later. And that's when Hank and Tank come in and say, Briggs and Inamura, we love you guys, and maybe in a few weeks we'll give you a tag title match because you're back together and everything. And they're kind of like, oh yeah. But as that's kind of happening, Obafemi kind of walks by and says, I'm the ruler. And we see Inamura staring at him and the title. But then Oba bumps into the TNA champion, lots of champions, Trick Williams, who says that my money is not on, Oba says my money is on them, meaning the match later. And Trick says, well, you're going to be one broke ruler after tonight because me and my boys are going to win the match tonight. And Oba says, we'll see. So they walk off, and Trick walks off, and he takes one look at Briggs and Inamura and asks, why you got on all this leather for? Which was the biggest pop of the night from me, because we've been ragging on the best friends for a while here. And I think Briggs, like, under his breath says, like, I'm not even wearing leather at this point. But sorry, you're the leather boys, essentially. But yeah, what are we teasing Trick and Oba yet again?
Well, to start with, you had Inamura just the other week was teasing like bigger things, and obviously we get a bit more of a payoff on that later in the night. But I liked this. This was interesting. A little bit of a stare down between Trick and Oba. Like, are we going to be getting a double champion situation down the line? Is that what you're going to build to? And is this as soon as Great American Bash, or is this just a little early tease and perhaps something around SummerSlam weekend?
Yeah, it's either like Great American Bash or SummerSlam PLE, where you could easily do Oba versus Trick, finally do the one-on-one that they've strategically avoided, and now do for double titles, right? Like, that's something cool. I get two NXT superstars fighting for the TNA championship, but why not book it? I really like Trick as this heel character, making fun of the vest and the leather. I liked it. We have a little insert commercial for Blake Monroe. We hear a voiceover saying she needs to pick a dress as stunning as her contract because the glamour is on her way tonight for her contract signing. Blake Monroe soon tonight. We go to our second match. Or anything off that?
No, just like I think, and I'll maybe hit on it a bit more in the promo later, but there's definitely, I mean, this is a more modern thing, and obviously we mentioned last week kind of the Sabrina Carpenter influences as well, but just the music picked for this, there's very strong Toni Storm vibes with this character so far, and obviously they've got a whole lot of history, but and I think I like borrowing a bit of that, like, and having a bit of your lore, mythology, whatever, carry across. But I really hope this doesn't just become like Timu Tony. Right. Because there's a line in the promo later that I'll get to that felt very Toni Storm-esque and nowhere near as clever as Tony's.
Yeah, you know what? I know we're jumping it because we'll probably say it again, but I thought in my head, I'm like, am I reaching for thinking? Like, am I like out of my mind for the comparison is there? Like, it's definitely, well, you know, if wrestlers wrestle someone so much and have deep blood feuds with, they usually then adopt that person's wrestling move, right? Mm-hmm. So I mean, borrowing.
But even down to the name bit, like Toni Storm is very much a Marilyn Monroe character, and even just the name, it feels very on the nose.
Yeah, no, it totally does. Even to the point when she comes out later and we hear her music, but the intro, it's like, oh, yeah, it's very Toni Storm, timeless. She is not. We have Lash Legend taking on Kehlani Jordynne, another Evolution Eliminator here. Right away, Lash Legend, being a lot taller and bigger than Kehlani, shoves her and just starts manhandling her here, like bouncing her like a basketball here, just like the WNBA she used to play in. We go to picture-in-picture, and she's still beating on her, but Kehlani comes back, hits the Educator, the sit-out edge DDT move, pretty cool, and then the like reverse Molina split DDT here. So Kehlani hitting all the Legends moves. Lash comes back though and does that middle rope like head banging thing, and then again is throwing Kehlani around. There's a huge pump kick from Lash, and then the Canadian backbreaker here, just stretching her out. But Kehlani finally escapes and does the back handspring, and then a sliced bread number 2, followed up by the 5-star frog splash, but not enough to keep Lash down here. But the 5-star looking better. She's improved the 5-star frog splash. We know she loves RVD. She goes up again for the 450. This time Lash gets the knees up and then hits her like torture rack face buster for the win, and a bit of an upset, I thought, for Lash Legend, pinning Kehlani here to advance.
Yeah, I was very surprised with this outcome. Kehlani is someone I consider to be like at the top of this division, and I think she will be breaking through to that like women's title picture very soon. Like, and I see her as potential big star on the main roster down the line as well. So I was surprised. They're trying to present like I think this is the first time we've heard Lash's new music as well.
We heard it last week, but it was brief. Okay. And yeah, glad you brought it up. I forgot. Like, it's a cool song, but it's not like hype. It's kind of like a more of a chiller beat. So it's not necessarily. I love the beginning, the skirt, but like, I don't know, for a wrestling theme. Like I love hip hop and beats, and I make beats and all that stuff. And I think it's a cool song, but I don't think it necessarily is a good entrance theme. But that's just like first glance listening. What did you think?
Yeah, I didn't think overly too much of it, but I think what I'm trying to get at is they're trying a bit of a new presentation with Lash, and maybe that's why they wanted to give her this. And I think we see with the match a bit later on and another bit of an upset. And I think, you know, Kehlani's already kind of more established in NXT. Not that Lash isn't. Lash has been around for a while, but maybe trying to establish her more of a singles threat. But I was surprised. I still don't think Lash's wrestling is completely there. She's definitely improved a lot. But there's still like some awkwardness at points in the match, I thought, and Kehlani definitely outshines her. So I am curious what is next for Kehlani. I feel like I'm a little bit like shit or get off the pot with this heel turn. It's a little too tweener-esque to me. She just sounds like a moaning babyface a lot of the time rather than a pure heel. And I think we'd need an actual proper sustained feud to establish that. And if she's not going to be in this title picture right now, who is there you'd like to see her maybe having a bit of a feud with?
Yeah, maybe they don't want to turn her full heel just because they have too many heels right now. But I think once that does happen, like I think that'll be a huge like turning point, and maybe more of herself can shine through. Because right now she's a squeaky clean. Like you said, they were teasing she's had a bit of an attitude, and I think maybe they use this as she lost to like go somewhere with it. But
and a clean loss as well. With
yeah. Like I like Lash, but her wrestling still is not on the level of some of the others. Like Kehlani, like she is really impressive in the ring and keeps getting better as well. But this was not bad by any means, but compared to some of the other women in this roster, I'd say she's not necessarily on some of their levels. But we got some. You know, a lot of talented people here, but still a fun match. And I don't see Lash winning next week, but we'll get to the other competitors in that match. We get a video for the D'Angelo family, if they even are a family. And Stacks, he says he had to take the reins. And then we see clips of Luca, and then we have Luca on the phone, and he's like, yeah, I'll approve this. And
he says the consigliere approves this.
Right. And Tony's like, hey, where you been? I've been looking for you. And he's like, oh, I've been right here. And he's like, oh, what you just heard, like, doesn't mean anything. And Tony says, well, I'm going to the ring and I'm going to call you out. So Tony goes to the ring. And when we come back, he has a microphone and he says, being the Don, you got to be prepared for everything. You got to be prepared to be stabbed in the back. And that's what happened. Stacks stabbed me in the back. And then I thought Luca got clipped, or so I thought. And Rizzo's at the safe house. But I want Luca's trust and I want his loyalty, and I'm not getting it. So calls out Luca. He comes out and begs Tony, like, look, you don't understand. I was kidnapped. 2 guys zip-tied me, and then finally Stacks let me out. And that's when I finally came back to you. And Tony's like, yeah, but you just stood there like an idiot in that match, which was true. Then why didn't you help me? And Luca's like, you know what? You're right. Maybe I should have. So Tony says, look me in the eyes, Luca. Look me in the eye and tell me that I can trust you. And before Luca can, Stacks music hits. He comes out and says, Tony, you are pathetic without me. And says that he's got his own family here. What is this? The cast of Grease, the musical? We got Danny Zuko, Deuce and Domino. Where's Cherry at? Where's Cherry? He's got the Greasers with him here. The outsiders, not Hall and Nash, but the other outsiders.
Yeah, I'm gonna say if you're an aspiring wrestler and thinking on trying to get it to the PC, change your name to something vaguely Italian and change your look to look vaguely Italian, and you might have a shot, because we've had so many extras in these family, Tony D'Angelo Stacks family stuff over the years. And some new ones appearing today.
So he's got these greasers here, and he says, like, my guys are going to do what they're told. And Stack says, Luca, you know what to do. And Tony's like, what? Like, what are you talking about? So all these guys come in there. It's a big brawl. And then it's Tony and Stacks who are left alone in the ring. And Luca comes in there to help him and goes to swing at Stacks. But of course, Stacks ducks, and Luca ends up punching Tony in the face as he drops. Stacks leaves and laughs, and Luca and Tony are looking at each other like, oh, and Luca's like, I didn't mean to. I swear. The Godfather Part 2, this was not. Maybe more Part 3, but I haven't seen Part 3 yet, so I can't necessarily judge. But as much as I love my my mafia movies and everything, I don't know if I think this one's falling off. It's
more The Irishman in length of this feud, right? Like, it's been going on a long time.
I think I enjoyed The Irishman more than this, I have to say.
Look, I've kind of just lost interest in this whole feud, and I'm just so tired of, in wrestling, the accidental hit, which the person like, oh, you meant to hit me, and we just see it every week. I thought Luca sounded all right. I think this is the most we've really heard him talk, and he actually, I think, comes across quite comfortable on the mic, and I believed him as much as wrestlers acting do in segments. Like, I thought he came across fine. I think Stacks is coming. Like, I think everyone is playing their role relatively well. I'm just a little bit. I just want to get, like, let's start moving this a little forward, a little quicker now, because I am getting bored of it.
Yeah. We need, like, do the turn already. They're really doing a slow burn. I imagine this does lead to Luca not being.
Yeah, it'll probably be Great American Bash, where we'll have the next actual progression in the story, right? Rizzo's returning or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So there's still a lot to go with this. We need to go
again. I think Rizzo is still being mentioned, so I think we don't have to panic yet. She,
no.
Her name is still on TV, so that means she's still alive in NXT and WWE.
I went through a mall the other day, and they had Toys R Us, and they had a Stacks figure.
Nice.
And then I was like, wow, Stacks. And then you know what else I saw? Side by side, Andre Chase and Duke Hudson.
Oh.
Yeah.
I still didn't buy it. Did Stacks have his, like, nice flashy shirt on?
He had like I think like a leather jacket and a cap or something on. I think last week I was going off about Nunzio. I had so many people message me being like, you're talking about Vito. I'm like, of course, of course. But I'm shocked Vito is not calling out other wrestlers when they show up wearing dresses on TV either. But apparently if you're in a mafia character, you can't wear leather because you're biting someone's gimmick. But shout out Big Vito. He had a good DDT.
Sure.
Back in the day. The Impaler. It's nice. We see first class trick, I should say, because that's what they're calling themselves. It's Top Dollar, AJ Francis.
Yeah, Top Dollar chanting it like the whoop that chick trick chant. He's going first class trick.
And they mentioned that Casey Navarro is injured and was injured in training and can't make the match tonight. But we found someone who can go. And Trick is like, whoa, we have this match. Like, what are you talking about? And in comes Wes Lee with High Rise, or I guess they're all High Rise. And Wes, I'm sure, was biting his tongue when he had to say this. He says, good to see the TNA championship on the shoulder of a real superstar. Has Wes ever been TNA champion? I don't think so.
No.
X Division, sure. Tag, sure, but never world champion. He says that, we were the leaders of the locker room, and Trick, there's a moment of silence and awkwardness where Trick then says, you know what, I was wrong when we had our issues. I was tripping.
Man, I shouldn't have slammed a locker door on your head. I'm sorry, bro. And it's like, that's all right.
Like Trick's promo, I don't know, just like his his like character work or just being funny and in front of a camera and on a mic. He's so good. I know people always go off about his wrestling and everything, and I'm sure we go off on his wrestling, but he had me laughing here. Like, when in wrestling do we usually call back? Usually heels just like become friends, right? But lately we're explaining to the hardcore is that if you did watch that, you knew these guys had so much beef. And Trick is like, yeah, I was wrong. Sorry about that. Yeah, I was a dick.
I appreciate it. Like, I appreciate not having my intelligence insulted. And I will, it's wrestling. It's cartoon characters and stuff. I don't really need to think too deeply about, like, I appreciated Cena's promo on Friday, kind of explaining, somewhat retconning everything that's happened, but giving an explanation. I did this because of this, and I did that because of that. It doesn't actually need to make sense. Just acknowledge that, yeah, we used to hate each other, but now, I'm sorry, we'll move on. We're seeing our vision is the same, so let's work together. And that's what always bothers me, and I've brought up before, when someone does get released, that you don't just have that throwaway comment that, oh, where's so-and-so? Oh, his mum was sick, so he's moved back to Spain or whatever. It's just something to explain a write-off of the character. So
he moved to Mexico to be with the orphans.
exactly, something, whatever. But and then you go, okay, I guess he's living in Mexico then. Cool.
So
yeah, I appreciate these sort of things when they.
Yeah, I think Trick is pretty funny, and being more of a heel, like, it makes me like him more, which is classic. Wrestling fans liking the heels, but he's really funny. So I can see why they're putting him in like TV shows and stuff like that. Like, the dude has the charisma for it, for sure. And he says, okay, Wes, well, we're going to team up tonight. It's AJ Francis, Trick Williams, and Wes. So it's High Rise, First Class, and Trick all here as AJ Francis says, First Class Trickin' on the West Side. That's the name of this group.
First Class Trickin' on the West Side. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Great. We go to, so that match is a little bit later, but we go to the classroom. We go to Chase University. We're back in class. We see Kale and Uriah. They're in class with all the other extras, and they got textbooks, and we have this music playing, and there's a montage. They're in class, and Chase is talking to the class. He says, there's a strict curricular here at Chase U. We lead by example. You got to do more than just learn in Chase U. You got to get fucking tough. And you could see Kale keeps trying to ask questions, and Chase is like shutting him down, like, no, stop, no. And then finally, when he says you got to get tough, Kale looks like discouraged and then puts his books in his bag, gets up and walks out. Uriah does the same thing. And then as they leave, they go, what a shame. And Andre says, what the fuck? As the video ends.
Did I miss something here? Like, I mean, I assume it's whatever question or comment Kale was trying to get at. It seemed like something to do with his book. Was he given the wrong book or something? I don't know. But what did I miss something?
I don't know, but I'm assuming that
cliffhanger mystery for the Chase U universe.
Yeah, like we said, like this is your Safe by the Bell like reboot later years, and it's not necessarily clicking for me here. But my one thing, I guess, is he said it's not just about learning, you got to get, and I quote, you got to get fucking tough. And maybe they walked out of class because they want to like have a match where they like get tough, like they're not going to learn through a textbook. You got to learn by getting in the ring kind of thing. Hopefully, maybe. I don't know.
I found this very weird. I mean, I guess we'll find out more next week. What was Kale trying to ask or whatever? But yeah, it's not working so far. Like this isn't Duke and Thea. Although Kale Dixon does look nice in glasses.
He looks like they both look like they could be like top selling country artists. Kale Dixon and Uriah Connors live.
Yeah.
Stadium tour.
Bud Stage this year.
Yeah, like they look like they could make some good country tunes, you know? I bet they listen to. They look like Florida Georgia Line.
I was just gonna say, is this Florida Georgia Line?
And they're down in Florida, near the Georgia line, sort of. So.
The amount of artists that I only know through wrestling, like if I never watched wrestling, I would have no idea what a Florida Georgia Line is, but unfortunately I do.
No, fortunately, I know all about Florida Georgia Line. The one guy is like touring by himself now, I think. Country music's gotten big again. It's huge right now.
I was watching a documentary called Floribama, the Floribama murders the other day, and it's about the Florida-Alabama line and how a lot of murders go on. I just like the word Floribama. I was like, yeah.
Florida-Alabama line? That they cross over?
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds like the most
and
racist
so there's
area.
Like state laws. There's a lot of like murdering in Florida and then burying them in Alabama, and
that just sounds like the most awful place.
Sounds horrible, doesn't it?
Sorry, I don't want to offend anybody out there, but holy shit, that sounds bad. I bet they just love. I don't know. I'll stop while I'm
Kale Dixon.
This, yeah. If you walked around the Alabama-Florida border and you interviewed people off the street saying, you guys big fans of Kale Dixon and Uriah Connors, they'd be like, yeah, we love their latest album. They're great. Yeah. So more to see where we go with Chase U. We're basically saying that the Chase U storyline isn't working for these two, and they should go into like a country music Jeff Jarrett kind of gimmick.
Sure.
Yeah. Like Road Dogg's
Sonata gimmick.
A Sonata gimmick?
Did you see Sonata from in the
Giant
Gonzalez outfit,
Gonzalez
carrying a guitar, smoking a cigar? Yeah.
Frank Sonata. We cut from the Chase U video, and Vic and Corey are like, oh, what's going on with Chase U? And Booker T just is like, who cares? Nobody likes that guy. Booker T hates Andre Chase. I'm assuming he's turned down Reality of Wrestling bookings or something, but he, from day one, he's like, it's not even a real university. We get an update on Ricky Saint's larynx. You're going to have to correct larynx injury, but he will be in action again very soon, up to maybe even next week or in 2 weeks. And we see Ethan Page and his high school friends. Ethan Page is like Matthew McConaughey and Dazed and Confused
Project.
Yeah, he's just hanging out with these high school kids. The Vanity Project. I will say Jackson Drake, he was impressive when we saw him a few weeks ago, and here he is as the Evolved champion. The Evolved title looks really nice. Yeah, it's bigger than him. It's bigger than these kids in this segment. But we have Brad Baylor, Ricky Smokes, Jackson Drake. Those are all real names. I'm not making them up. And Ethan Page backstage. And Ethan, I like Ethan Page with these guys. I'm joking around, but I think it kind of works. Yeah, it works with him being like instantly I'm like, okay, this could work. Him and his minions, they're all like a frat house almost.
But it's a more experienced heel using these young heels to do his dirty work, essentially.
Exactly. This is when they're laughing at Ricky Saints and injury, and Ethan's like, hey, dare I say some of my best work? You know, I really injured him, and he's like laughing about it. When Ricky Saints walks in, so yes, in one segment we have two Rickies. Here, Ricky Smokes, Ricky Saints. One Smokes and one Saints. And he whispers because his voice is still fucked up. And he's like, I'm going to come after you. I wish he had the Kane voice box, but they all laugh at him, which got a huge pop out of me. I'm like, whenever you have a group of guys just laughing, it's great. They all laugh. And you can see Ashanti the Adonis is there too. And he's kind of smiling. And Ricky's like, hey, when I'm back in the ring, I have no problem beating all of you guys up. And then Ashanti steps up and kind of starts trash talking Ricky when all the rest of them leave and says Ashanti's like, oh, you don't have the numbers game. And Ricky's like, yeah, well, neither do you. And Ashanti looks around and goes, shit. And Ricky Saints says to Ashanti, see you soon. So I think we're going to have that match in his return from this injury. But I assume we're going
setting up stuff with these kids as well.
Yeah, setting up stuff, feuding with Ethan. Obviously, we're going to go back towards Saints versus Paige for the North American title. I assume we get some sort of gimmick match at Great American Bash or something along those lines. But I assume he goes through the Vanity Project.
Yes.
In the next few weeks. But I like these guys so far.
Yeah, they're very unlikable, which means they're doing their job well.
Ricky Smokes. I just like that name. I think that might be my new favorite name in wrestling. Ricky Smokes. Ricky Smokes. We see Blake Monroe, another NXT name. Blake Monroe shows up in her car. She didn't have a driver, but she's driving herself, and she's ready to sign her contract. Ready tonight. But the music hits, the guitar hits, we hear it. Hello, I am Elijah. And out comes Elijah, walking to the ring with his guitar, and he's got a little song here. First class trick, more like last place trash. Wes Lee can't get out of the kiddie weight class. But he's got one question. Who's ready to walk with Elijah?
You'd have thought he'd learn some more chords by now, wouldn't you? Like, it's this.
Never learned one note.
This, like, was just bad. Like, just there are writers working on this show, right? Can we come up with something better than these lines? Because it's not funny. And yeah, I don't know. It feels like this character has stepped right out of 2015 NXT with no evolution whatsoever. I don't know. It's like when we review What's Next and we're doing the Aiden English things and we go, there's nothing good about these lines.
I'll take this over Aiden English.
Yeah, but like I just feel there's more you can do with this sort of gimmick. Like, it feels very much written on the back of a napkin, like right before going out. Okay, this rhymes with this, and
Hey, Harry Potter was written on the back of a napkin. Okay, come on. I know what you mean. I just remember to when this guy was super popular on the main roster, and like I don't want to like say it, but I think just shitting on local sports teams is what worked for this guy. Like that's when he was the most popular. I think with him.
I
and
guess
Kevin
it's
Owens,
harder
like,
when you're a babyface in a way, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I just think there was more to run down about, especially Top Dollar. Come on, there's so much you can shit on this guy for.
Just his gear alone.
Yeah.
His gear. You know, I bless Top Dollar, but the dude looks like he's wrestling in like university college, like track gear, like basketball gear. Like it doesn't necessarily look like the best wrestling gear. It's got to be one of my. It's not Nico's.
I never like basketball gear for wrestling attire.
Yeah, fair.
For anyone,
fair.
Doesn't really look good.
So this match is happening after the break, but the entrance and the song from Elijah as the crowd say along his line. We have a little video before the match, though. When we come back, we see Ren Sinclair, Tavion Heights, and Javon Evans, and they're all backstage. The NQCC, and Charlie shows up. She says, don't worry about Charles," says Ren. He's got his nuances. And Javon is like, "What the hell is a nuance?" And Javon kind of walks off, and we see Jasper Troy, who lost to Oba last week. And he's like, "Yo, Jasper, you did your thing and you handled yourself. And, one day you'll make it there. Not before the young OG, but you will make it there." And Jasper just says, "Get out of my face." And then he's like, "Oh, okay, cool." And that's when Charles shows up, Charlie Dempsey, and says, "Javon, you're talking a big game. How about if Tavion wants to face me and get out of New Quarter Catch Crew?" What? No Quarter Catch Crew? Yeah. New Catch Republic Crew? Yeah. He says, "Why don't you face Javon? And if you beat Javon, you can come out of the No Quarter Catch Crew." And Javon's face is like, "Sorry, Tavion. Like, you're not leaving this group because there's no way you're beating me." But this match is made official for next week: Javon Evans versus Tavion Heights, which should be an awesome match. Definitely look out for this one. I think it could be really fun. But we
haven't seen Tavion in a singles match for a long time.
Yeah,
and I liked the heel booking here from Charlie, being like, "No, this time it's not against him, and if he beats Charlie, he's out.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to beat the guy who wants him out the group." I thought it was quite smart and should be Should be a good showcase match.
What did Javon call Charlie? Did he call him C Money?
I missed that.
Javon, whenever I watch him wrestle, I'm like, wow, this guy's only 20 years old. That's crazy. Like, think of all the years he could get even better somehow. And I don't necessarily think, wow, this guy's 20. But whenever he talks in his promos or tweets, I'm like, oh yeah, he's 20.
Oh yeah, he's a kid. Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Ren then says that he thinks Charlie needs a hug and gives him a hug.
This is true. We all need a hug sometimes.
Yeah,
Listen to the wellness policy. Okay. Talk all about hugs. Postwrestling.com. We go to the match, the 6-man tag. What's the name of the team? First Class Trickin' on the Wes side. See what I did it?
Yes.
Without even looking at it, I did it. And they're taking on Briggs, Inamura, and Elijah here. We have Briggs in the ring with Trick early on here and hits his sidewalk slam and the standing splash for a near count. Eventually he tags in Elijah, who does the walk with Elijah, the old school, into like a jumping flying knee. I swear is one of the best things I've ever seen him do, to be honest, the flying knee off the top rope. This is when Wes is in. They send the good guys to the outside, and he goes for a tope, but they catch him on the outside. And this is when AJ Francis, Top Dollar, goes for his flop dollar. He teases that he's going for the tope, and then he's like, nah, screw all of you. I'm not doing that. Got a reaction out of the crowd and myself. But this is when Elijah drops him and hits an Elijah elbow off the top as they go into picture-in-picture. We have Inamura just going off on Wes with these like huge double chop that like flips him upside down. And then the sumo chops as well into the corner. Eventually, Tyson and Tyreek are like sweeping the leg and interfere here, allowing them to gain control. This is when Wes then lands on Inamura with this like senton, which it looked kind of like maybe Inamura wasn't ready for it. So the ref was quick to check like, yo, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm fine. But it could have been bad, but it wasn't. Eventually, Inamura hits a body slam after spinning around. Trick gets dropped here. And I think also another like slip up where I don't know if he almost got hurt or something. Kind of messed up the flow of the match. But then it came back together when Briggs shoves Elijah and Wes hits his kick onto him. And then Wes is then thrown to the outside onto the high-rise guys. Inamura hits the crazy rope-shaking splash off the top to Trick when the ring was cleared and gets the 1, 2, 3. And Inamura pins the TNA champion as Booker T starts to crash out. I know he was referencing Enzo Amore for some reason as well. But yeah, Inamura pins Trick Williams here in another upset on NXT.
Yeah, the show is full of upsets tonight. Yeah, pretty fun match. A weird collection of wrestlers here. Just Elijah, Josh Briggs, Inamura. Just to start with, that's a strange team. Trick, AJ Francis, and Wesley. Just a very weird mix. I do find AJ Francis quite funny. I mean, everyone just loves to rag on this guy, and I do appreciate him playing into it. Like he tags into the match, hits a shoulder block, and tags right back out, and then comes in and fakes doing the dive. I did find it quite funny. I thought, I often find these multi-person matches are quite fun on NXT. They're quite chaotic, a lot going on. There were a few slip-ups here and there, but overall I liked it, and I liked the surprise booking of Inamura winning here, and I like that, what that's going to mean for him and Briggs. But what the hell is going on with Wesley? Like, it's bizarre, and I'm wondering if, do WWE, after the injury, have WWE have kind of had cold feet with this guy or what? Because he's such a background player where he really shouldn't be. I mean, I know we're a broken record, but miscast as a heel. But just like being the third man, like he felt like the third man behind Trick and AJ Francis, who's not even in the company or a particularly good wrestler either at that. It's a weird thing. And I wonder what, like, Wentz's contract, when that's up, because I'd love to just put these guys back together, put them on the main roster. That Raw tag division right now is empty. Like the Rascals mixing it up, shake up the tag division. You've got Fraxium, you've got New Day, you potentially got the Usos back together, Motor City Machine Guns, DIY. Like, the Rascals should be in that mix. But he feels such like a nobody right now, and he's so talented. He signed in 2020. I checked this earlier. It's like coming up to 5 years he's been in the company. Well, and he's still just in developmental.
That's what Elijah said in his song. Yeah. You're still in you're still in the kiddie division.
It's really baffling whenever he's on TV. Just like his star has fallen, I feel.
It's so weird because we said right when they did that heel turn, like, okay, cool, we had the feud with them going against each other, the Rascals here on WWE TV, but after that it was like just nowhere. And then now you're the leader of this new team trying to get them over by using him. I don't know if like he'd be better off outside of WWE and like putting on, he could be like a way bigger deal, and
well, like Santana's doing now, right? Like he could be on that level. But I do see potential of bigger things for him in WWE, and I think they saw it. Like whenever it was, he had his North American title run, but
something's not weird. The same. Something just it's like we could go back to him as a baby face, and right away I think people would get behind it.
Yeah,
because of all the years you said, 5 years, like that's crazy. He could easily be. He could have been on main roster like when he signed, because he was already a polished wrestler. So weird. Justice for Wesley. What's going on there? What are they gonna do with that? Fix that. But Trick being pinned is also pretty funny because it's Inamura pinning him. He could have a moment of crashing out, of being upset and everything like that, as we'll get to what this means with him losing. But a fun match. Not my match of the night, but a pretty fun match. We have ZARIA backstage. You know, last week when their TikTok was ruined, I know you were really upset that their TikTok was ruined by all the bickering in the women's locker room. But then they threaten you that they're just going to redo the video now. They're going to make a new one.
God.
Don't worry. We'll just make a new TikTok. So their gimmick is their TikTokers. So I don't know if you've seen, but Zarya, they now have merch on WWE Shop. So
I did see this. Yes.
Y2AJ vibes. Maybe
I was going to say that means they're breaking up soon, right?
Hopefully that means they're going to break up soon. But they mentioned that tonight, Zarya, is going to have a match next, and she could be in the Fatal 4-Way next week if she wins this. And we see Tatum is watching in the back with her naked doll, and she kind of follows them and is creepily stalking them. But they were kind of nice to her the last few weeks, right? So she got some sort of a relationship with them. We see Ava in her office with Stevie and Stone. They mention Evolve, and then they say, tune in on Tubi tomorrow night. And then she's like, oh, do you hear that? And then it cuts to Tony and Luca in the hallway arguing. And Ava's like, yo, what's going on here? And says that next week, Noam Dar, remember him? Noam Dar.
Yeah, vaguely, yeah.
Yeah, Noam Dar is going to defend the Heritage Cup. Remember that?
Again, vaguely.
Noam Dar is defending his Heritage Cup next week against Stax. And Tony's like, yo, what the, like, Stax gets a Heritage Cup match? Like, what the hell? Like, how does that work? And Ava says, yes, he got the match through his consigliere.
Yeah, I liked that. I like that touch because the line from Luca earlier in the night was very, you could have easily missed it. And I thought it was a nice little touch. Like, the consigliere approves this.
Whatever that means. And then Tony's like, what? It was you. And he's like, no, it wasn't me, Tony, I swear. And he's like, Luca, you got some explaining to do, as they walk off and everything. But next week, Noam Dar versus Stax Heritage Cup. What will happen? Tune in to find out. But we go to
what I want to know, and I know you're very curious as well.
Yes.
Are we going back to the rounds matches? Because that was because I don't think Noam's defended it since.
No, I do think we'll go back to the rounds matches.
I think so, especially with the video later where Noam's going on about the heritage and all that.
Yeah, they had a video to remind you that Noam Dar is back and there's a Heritage Cup. Because it feels like
to remind you that this is all we've got for Noam Dar in this company. It's just him and this cup forever.
Yeah, he's just always
dressed. Alicia Fox is in TNA now, so there's always a chance.
Yeah. I would like to see that duo back together. We go to our next match. It's Zarya taking on Izzy Dame in the Evolution Eliminator match. Winner goes on to the 4-way next week. We have Izzy right away tries to go after Zarya with a roll-up and then a boot to the face. She's being very aggressive, trying to get an early win here. This is when Vic and Booker T start to really argue here. And this is when Corey jumps on Vic as well. Like, oh, you spend more time on TikTok than my teenage daughter. And Booker's going off. And Vic, of course, now always saying, Booker, you're on one tonight. Love you, Vic Joseph. There's picture in picture where Zarya and Izzy are going like back and forth with all these different pinning attempts here and trying to get each other down. When we come back, there's a diving code breaker from Izzy for a 2 count, and then a really nice looking choke slam as well. But Zarya kicks out. Zarya then is beating down on her and then is, I guess, setting up for her either the spear or that F5. But Tatum Paxley runs out and hugs Sol Ruka, which then scares Sol into screaming, which distracts Zarya and goes, Tatum, what are you doing? Why are you screaming? Turns around and gets hit with the Sky High or Derailer, shout out NXT coach A-Train, for the 1-2-3 and our third upset, I think. Izzy Dame pins Zarya to advance in the Evolution, and it's distraction by scream.
Yeah, this finish I wasn't quite as high on it as the Jaida Parker Thea Hale one. That being said, I think Izzy Dame is making some nice steps recently. I think her kind of maybe taking the lead of the Culling group is a good move and focusing way more on her. When it comes to like your bigger women in WWE, the bar is still unfortunately like quite low, I'd say. I don't think Raquel or Nia or even Jade, when it comes to in-ring, are that great. And I think there's real potential there to like, you know, have someone step into that role. And Izzy, I've been enjoying her performances kind of outside of the ring. I think she's a strong enough performer like in those segments. And I liked how she brought her character into this match. I thought she showed a lot more of an aggressive side, like always doing the like mean mugging facial expressions throughout the match. And I thought she showed some nice things with the actual wrestling in this as well. So I'd like to keep seeing improvements, because if you need someone else in this division who's going to be a heavy, like maybe it is an Izzy Dame.
No, I agree. Like she has totally stepped up. This was one of the best she's looked. For sure. And getting the win, like they're going to put some steam behind her. But the silly Culling gimmick will work better if they focus just on like her right now. They're using Nico and Spears like as her like heavies and stuff. Like I don't expect her to win, but the Fatal 4-Way, but yeah.
But I like her doing stuff as well, like when she's been attacking men in the matches, kind of like Chyna would be. You know, she hit the big boot to Tony or to Ridge, didn't she interfere against and stuff? So I think doing more stuff like that would be quite good as well.
Yeah, no, it was fine. And I think, again, another upset where I was like, oh, I didn't expect her to win that. But also, if you didn't put Zarya in this, or, you know, certain people, because they're not going to win that 4-way match, right? Like, I wonder if Evolution, like jumping ahead, I wonder if Evolution is Jordynne Grace versus JC Jane and Sol Ruka versus Zarya.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could have Zarya demand a match against Tatum, because she blames Tatum for losing the match, and she can beat Tatum very convincingly, and then maybe keeps the beat down on her, and Sol shows sympathy for Tatum, and that leads to that breakup. Maybe is what you could do. And yeah, Sol v Zarya, why not do it at Evolution? Like, you should have all these women's titles defended on that show.
Like, I love Sol Ruka, and I like Zarya a lot too. And I think they're just kind of waiting. And I think that's why we put her in this kind of silly tag team, is because, like, okay, eventually when we want to like focus and put the rocket for her, we'll make her that killer. But right now it's the TikTok friendly, like odd couple where she's like, like I'm with this surfer. But the video entrance for her video is that like crushing
she's now
monster,
stood on a cliff howling at the
Mad
moon
Max,
and crushing things.
Fallout.
And you're like,
it's like, shouldn't that be your character? Because like that's kind of badass.
Backstage going drama.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
So it is a bit backwards, but I think like let it play out, because I think when we do go to Zarya versus Soul, I think that could be pretty good. I do like these two, and I think we just gotta unfortunately get through this, and like not everyone can be the main focused thing, because we got to go through JC and Grace and who not, and but it's jarring when that's her video entrance, and then she's like, but she will have a gripe with Tatum, as we'll probably get that match. We see an announcement that next week it is sorry, no, where were we? We just watched the Zarya match. We go to Briggs and Inamura. That's where we are. We see Josh Briggs and Inamura backstage, and he's like, oh man, I can't believe we did that. You know, we're back together. You're back from Japan here in NXT, and we won a match, and you pinned Trick Williams. You pinned the TNA champion, and like Inamura, I think you got to go to Santino and get a TNA championship match. And Inamura is like, yeah, TNA championship match? Nah, no thanks. Actually, you can have it, though. He didn't say it in those words, but he goes, hey, why don't you have the TNA championship match? And Briggs is like, what, me? Sure. Yeah, you should face Trick for the TNA championship, because I don't want that title. I want the NXT championship. And Briggs is like, oh, okay, I like the way you're thinking, and says, yeah, think of it. You as TNA champ, me as NXT champ. I don't want just, you know, Inamura doesn't just want the tag titles. He wants all the titles. Inamura wants his chip and the dip here in NXT. But I got a laugh out of basically what he was saying is, I don't give a fuck about this TNA championship title opportunity. You can have it. I want a real title, the NXT title. So next week, Briggs versus Trick for the TNA championship on NXT next Tuesday, but pretty funny.
I like it. I mean, we've been saying for a long time that Briggs should be in singles matches and should be starting to be pushed up to the top of the card, especially with the lack of depth at the top of the men's division. So I like this. Briggs, I don't foresee a title change, but Briggs quietly impresses, I think, when put into these positions. So I'm hoping it is against Trick, who is quite hit and miss, but I like that he's at least in this position. And it is funny. They're like, oh, no, I won, but like, I want you to have it. But I like that these guys have ambitions for singles gold.
Yeah, I like that we're focusing on these guys, actually, because they're good wrestlers. Inamura's been fun, this little run. Like, again, I think we could go into a mini TV feud with him and Obafemi, and that match could slap. Quite literally, actually. I bet there will be some slapping in that match. That would be good.
Yes.
We go to our next match. It is the last singles match for the Evolution Eliminator. Love that alliteration. Lola Vice taking on Jordynne Grace. Right away, Lola gets advantage with some pretty quick kicks here. They're running like kicks to the body, and then sends Jordynne into the turnbuckle, and then does the running butt attack. And, you know, she reminds us that she's Latina. She always has to tell us that she's Latina, and then she shakes her bum and hits her in the face with the butt attack here. We go into picture-in-picture. Grace tries to come back with like her tombstone kind of suplex that we've seen her do, but it's countered with a beautiful like ankle lock, knee bar, vine submission from Lola Vice, the cage fighter. And then Grace gets out of that, and then Lola puts in her another submission, and then we come back, there's a guillotine, and then finally Grace fights out of this, and then eventually there's like a head scissors where Grace gets like dropped on her head for a second, like an inside cradle. There was a lot of back and forth here. Grace gets put into another submission, a triangle here, and then they're going up top, and Grace is trying to hit a superplex, but again, Lola targeting the arm and the shoulder does a diving avalanche arm breaker.
Yeah, this was
off
great.
The top, and then Jordynne's selling this, gets to her feet to run into a huge spinning roundhouse kick from Lola Vice for a 2.9 count. I thought, hey, there's already a lot of upsets tonight. I bit on this this roundhouse kick spot, but Jordynne Grace got the shoulder up just in the nick of time. They go back at it again, countering each other's moves. Lola goes for the kick a second time, but this time it's blocked. She's caught and hit with the beast mode, and Jordynne Grace puts Lola Vice away and advances to the 4-way. But this was my match of the night for sure. Lola Vice coming out with the MMA background, really stepping up. And Jordynne Grace, as soon as she's been here in NXT, has just like been a show stealer every time she's wrestling on NXT TV. So yeah, I was really impressed with this one.
Right. Well, first of all, Jordynne Grace, new theme, no longer coming out to her TNA theme, and there were chants of Fire Death Rebel from this crowd. Did notice we didn't really talk a whole lot about Raw at the beginning, but Asuka's return yesterday, coming back to her CFO's theme, not her Death Rebel theme. So it is interesting, you know, Aleister Black coming back to his original theme, not his second WWE theme. And yeah, there have been slight changes of music, but yeah, this was generic rock track number 6 that Jordynne came out to here. And you've lost the sirens. That I think her old theme was a lot better than this. But broken record with Death Rebel. But all of that aside, I thought this match was great and one of Lola's best performances. I think quite often you find with some of these sort of people with MMA background is their strikes often look a little weird because they don't want to knock out the person that they're in there with. You've got to learn to pull back. And I mean, Grace did have a bloody nose by the end of this match, so maybe one of them landed, but I thought her strikes looked way better than they've looked before. I thought they looked really good. I liked how they booked this match where it was kind of like 80% Lola Vice and just Jordynne just getting back at the end. And even her beast mode was like a snappy version of it, like out of desperation to get this. Because
her arm, yeah.
I thought they gave Lola a lot here, and I thought she looked really good. And I think she's someone that like we said about Thea, where they called her off for a while, and now since they built her up for the Worlds Collide match with Stephanie, and they seem to be focusing on her a bit more. And I think they should, because I think the crowd really like her and get into her. And I think the wrestling's improving as well. And she does offer a bit of a different style. I liked how she got in some of those submissions, and that like avalanche arm breaker looked great. I thought it was a really fun match.
No, Lola's totally impressing. I think if you were to put her on the main roster, like, I think people would get behind her. She's got the look, obviously, but the MMA stuff, like, she had a following before NXT anyway. So, like, I think that she's totally improved. And I mean, Jordynne Grace is like got to be like the measuring stick in women's wrestling. Like, is coming into NXT, she didn't need NXT, right? Like, she could have easily been on WWE main roster. I think men or women, she's just one of the best like wrestlers. Like, a match I'm sad we're not getting in 2025 right now would be Jordynne Grace and Will Ospreay. Like that. Yeah. Like, I would like to see that. Like, Jordynne Grace, ever since stepping into NXT, has not missed with like her matches and everything. So do you see Jordynne Grace winning the Fatal 4-Way?
Yes, absolutely. I see her winning that and winning the match at Evolution. I think they know they've got something in Jordynne Grace, and they've just done a bunch of call-ups, so she can lead NXT for a little bit until she moves up, whether it later this year or beginning of next year. But I think they want to use this Evolution show to highlight certain talents and just reminding you who Jordynne Grace is. She's been in a couple of Rumbles. Fans are already familiar with her. So I think, therefore, people that are attending this show who don't follow NXT probably still have an idea who Jordynne Grace is. I'd absolutely put the belt on her at Evolution.
Yeah. And it'll get confusing because we're going to talk about this main event segment, like not a match, but clearly teasing another match with JC Jane. So I'm wondering if it's getting muddy. Like, is that a Great American Bash match? Right? Like, will JC Jane even be the champion come Evolution? Right? Like,
right. Maybe doing
that shows
WT
before.
Show
That show is the day before. So there's definitely some double duty in 2 days there. But this was my match of the show. This is the highlight of the show for me. Yep. Again, Jordynne Grace impresses. I can't wait to see her be like a big WWE star. And I think the same thing with Lola. She is totally impressing. And you said it, like they were kind of like hot and cold with her, but every time she's stealing the screen a little bit. So I think lean more into the submissions, MMA, the cage fighting stuff, I think could get over, because I think the thing is they use that so many times. They tried obviously with who's like the fake MMA fighter character we had.
Sonya
Deville, and then
Sonya did do MMA, but yeah, like not to a.
And then Shayna, like then they went to Shayna, and I think Shayna worked to a level, but they I don't know, it didn't really work. I think it could work more with Lola because she's a Latina.
Yeah,
she likes to say, and she's got a banging theme song. So.
Yeah, so they'll probably change it.
Yeah, why can't they why don't they not renew Def Rebel's contract, or just that's just a mean thing to say, I guess, but like you don't have to make Def Rebel do everyone's theme song. I know Metro Boomin, the producer, they did stuff with Bad Blood and everything. He's been on social media lately, like going off about like how he wants to make people's theme songs, and it's like, dude, just let him do it. Fuck, like the Tool stuff, the stuff where Triple H gave Tool the $1 the other day, like just do
and
that
there was
again.
So there was that parody account that reported that Limp Bizkit are in talks for Bron Breakers, which was just completely made up, but so many thought it legit and was like, oh, that would be sick. And then Fred Durst was like, yeah, sure, I'll do Bron Breaker's theme. Like,
sure, who's Bron Breaker?
Yeah,
that's probably what he said. Yeah,
I'm sure he knows Scott Steiner, doesn't he?
Yeah. I feel like you don't even need to just be hating on Def Rebel, right? They've made some good songs too, but their hit and miss ratio is not great. And I think if you just let other people maybe explore, like get other producers, get other bands that like, like just make better sounding.
You know what?
Songs.
Like we were shitting on Elijah for his lack of musical talent. I'm sure there are wrestlers who play stuff.
Sure,
there should be a gimmick of a wrestler trying to make theme tunes for other wrestlers.
Sure.
Jordan Grace comes out, and Eddie Thorpe comes back and hops on the decks to like, oh, I've made this new track or whatever. Like, it's never been done before.
Yeah. That is a true thing. Yeah, that could. My gimmick for a while was making theme songs for wrestling podcasts. So. It could still be. Hit me up. DMs are open. You need a theme for your podcast? Let me know. But I didn't like her music. I didn't even like. I realized it wasn't the same theme. But right away, I'm like, this has to be Def Rebel, right? Like AJ Francis. He's not my favorite, but at least he's fun to hate. He's a hateable character, and he has his own theme song that is him. Like that's him rapping on it and everything. So like, make wrestling theme songs better, because this Def Rebel stuff is just not working. And like I know that's kind of a broken record now of like wrestling fans in general, and then lately have been like, hey, what's going on with these theme songs? But even the wrestlers on social media shit on Def Rebel.
Oh yeah.
So something needs to happen. Next week we got the 4-way. It's Jordynne Grace, Lash Legend, Izzy Dame, and Jaida Parker. We think Jordynne Grace going to Evolution, we said. I think that's what makes the most sense. We go backstage, Tatum and Zarya is pissed off. Like, what the hell happened there? And Tatum is there, and Soul is there trying to be mediator, and Zarya is yelling at her like, you cost me the match, this and that. When Izzy shows up laughing, and she says, see, Tatum, you're not their friends. They don't like you. They don't care about you. They're busy off doing TikToks. They won't include you, but I would, and walks off. And then Tatum follows her and leaves them behind. Maybe this was all a work. Maybe Tatum already is part of their crew and did this on purpose, which is what Izzy did before. So I couldn't imagine this was a play that Izzy's going to take credit for, that saying she planted the seed and this and that. But this is where Blake Monroe walks by to go for the main event segment. But yeah, Soul and Zarya, this will implode. Zaruka implodes very soon, I think.
Yes. Yeah, I hope so. It's I hate this team. So yes, let's do it.
The fact that you hate them makes me like them even more. Never break them up. They'll never have their match. They'll just always be a team, like never break up. We get a video for the Heritage Cup. Noam Dar reminding us about himself, reminding us about the Heritage Cup, reminding us his name is Supernova 11, reminding us he always dresses like the dudes from Oasis. And he says that next week it's Stax versus Noam, Heritage Cup. Also next week, Briggs versus Trick for the TNA title, the 4-way match, Evolution Eliminator, and I think what was else? They said something else earlier, but was it Charlie? No, Javon versus
Tavion.
Tavion, which sounds pretty good too. So a lot of stuff announced for next week's episode on NXT. But we go to the ring. The GM, Ava, standing there. She says that NXT has the best and the hottest women's wrestling roster going, and that we have now signed the hottest free agent. So out comes Mariah May. Blake Monroe. We hear the new music. Glamour is forever. Mwah. As we hear the slow classical music, very timeless, into, I would imagine this is Def Rebel as well, but a very Sabrina Carpenter-like theme song here. The videos last week were very Sabrina, and so is the theme song here. Out comes Blake Monroe. She grabs a microphone. She says that she's been waiting to hop into bed with the best women's roster in wrestling, and says that WWE has always been my dream, and now this division is all mine, and the glamour will raise the bar. But she's interrupted. Fatal Influence come out. The NXT Women's Champ, JC Jane. She says, Ava, why are you kissing the newbie's ass? You never did that for us. You don't even talk to us, as we kind of saw last week. We didn't get this treatment. But Blake, you're delusional, says Jasmine Nix. She says, you're not going to come in here and steal this division from us. And Blake says, well, the rumors are true. Fatal Influence are insecure bitches. That's right. She called them bitches. JC Jane says, Blake, you're just the flavor of the month. And Monroe says, oh, yeah? And what about this flavor? And slaps her in the face. She's then attacked by Fallon and Nix. And then they beat her up, and they double chokeslam Monroe through the table as they stand tall, holding up the NXT title as NXT goes off the air.
Yeah, I wasn't particularly sold on this, I don't think. First of all, we said when Blake had a promo, 2 weeks ago now, we were like, I'm not sure if she's a heel or a babyface, right? Like it. Mm-hmm. And I think having her here with Fatal Influence, with the main heels of the women's division, says to me that she's a babyface. Nothing about her promo was very babyface-esque. You know, it felt very like a character from AEW. Like I'm the glamour, I'm better than you sort of thing. It's quite heelish. The line about, going to bed with all the women in the backstage in the women's division felt very Tony, like the sexual innuendo, but just not very clever or witty the way she did it. Like I didn't think it was a great first impression for me, to be honest. And I didn't find her sympathetic when, 3-on-1 against her being put through a table. In a way, she kind of felt like a heel that deserved being put through the table, is what I took from it.
Yeah. Kind of thought the same thing. Like, I think she's great. I think she's talented, but it was just kind of like, hey, I'm the glamour. And like, it's kind of like, okay, I'm here because it's my dream. Okay, that's cool and truthful, I think, right? But
yep.
You come across as a heel, and then the three heels come out and then beat you up, and I don't necessarily feel bad because you kind of were pretty arrogant, I guess, in your promo. So I imagine we're going towards Blake Monroe versus JC Jane at Great American Bash. But we now know that the winner of the four-way, which we imagine is Grace, gets the title match at Evolution. So would that not kind of spoil that? I don't think they do Grace versus Monroe that quickly. I don't know.
Unless this is more like this is a setup for a story further down. Like you could have Monroe and Fallon have a little bit of a feud before getting to JC.
I just thought it was weird to do this on like to just have her beat up right away. It's kind of like not what we were expecting. Maybe like usually your first impression. I thought she was going to cut this like more scathing heel thing and just go right into being that. But I guess when you come into, you're always the new, as they say, the new toy. You have to be the baby face first, even if it's just for a little bit, right? And then go into being a heel.
I think she should have just come in right away as a heel and just ran down the entire division. Like her thoughts, baby faces and heels, and then and maybe not having even any interaction with anyone this week. It does feel like a weird direction, and I think maybe they're counting on her, coming in as a baby face because she has some sort of a name and people will be excited to see her. But I don't feel, Ricky Starks, when he left AEW, was a heel there, but I think he got the person felt like a babyface to fans because, he was quite vocal, like, hey, I want to wrestle. Like, I'd happily wrestle for AEW. I'm being put on the bench, and people felt him for that. Whereas I think Blake Monroe, I think it was the story was she kind of let AEW know before that final match with Tony that she's going to be wrapping up. So she knew she was going here. So I don't think there's that fan sentiment of her being misused or mistreated by the other company. Like, they treated her very well. She was in the company for 18 months and had their biggest women's story they've had and a hell of a match. And it was great. But she's been miscast so far, I would say.
Well, it's so early. So like they'll go when we do go into the, big Blake Monroe heel run, I think it'll be good. Hopefully, like we've seen that she's good in the past. It's just funny when the promo battle before their final match of like, what was it? Tony Storm being like, after our feud is set and done, you'll be set to a life of mediocrity.
Yeah.
Of, just getting, not being your total creative, this and that. And it's so funny that like those things are like little like, oh, as far as we're concerned, Mariah May retired after that match, the Hollywood ending, that was it. And now Blake Monroe. So I know that I didn't really like this segment actually, but this is not being written off, right? Like this, there's a lot to go with this. There's going to be the more of the videos. I bet they're going to lean into the Sabrina Carpenter, I guess, because everyone just loves her so much right now. Wrestlers just love Sabrina Carpenter. But like the Sabrina Carpenter music, we're going to get the Tony Storm timeless vignettes. And I do imagine Great American Bash is JC versus Blake Monroe. So I would bet that's the match. And then maybe JC wins somehow and is facing Jordynne Grace. I'm not sure, but if that's it. But you know what? Lots of women on this show. This was a women-heavy show showing you the best roster. And there was some good wrestling. There was some good stuff advancing some of the stories. I still think the one thing the show is missing, and it's felt like this for 1-2 years maybe now, the men's roster is just like not happening. Like there's so much going on with the women in the show, which is
only one men's match on this show as well, which is
like we got every week them saying the women's roster this and that, the women's roster NXT, and then the men's roster is the Italian mafia feud that's been ongoing and a rehash of Chase U, and then a champion who was just backstage tonight. So it's like we need something. And the men's roster is just drowning, while the women's, I think, are just killing it on NXT in the past little while.
Yeah, I completely agree. Best thing on the show was Lola Vice, Jordynne Grace this week.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That was NXT. Some big matches announced for next week, as we talked about. So looking forward to some of that. But that's what we thought. Do we have any feedback tonight?
We have a piece from Megan who says, a solid episode that focused heavily on NXT's bread and butter, the women's roster. Blake Monroe got vignettes throughout the night, and they did a fine job of making her a big deal. And the Eliminator matches were good to very good, proving that they're going to be just fine with that mini Exodus recently. Def Rebel needs to get assassinated for giving Jordynne Grace a new theme song. Is nothing sacred? Fatal Influence standing tall as they rolled credits brought 4 words to mind. Card subject to change.
Yes. Well, I don't want no more assassinations, Megan. Please, that's a little bit much.
I do think if it is card subject to change, I could see them wanting her on that Evolution show, but Monroe Jordynne Grace just feels a weird match to like hot shot that quickly, and especially with Jordynne Grace would be the babyface in that for sure. I would have thought. I would prefer maybe feature Blake Monroe if you're going to do some sort of battle royal or something to get a lot of people on the show. Yeah. I'd have her just win that rather than having her right in the title picture.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. We'll see next week if Jordynne Grace wins that 4-way match to go to Evolution, and then I'm sure we'll get some match announcements for Great American Bash. What do you think Oba's match is? Inamura
at Great American Bash?
Yeah.
I guess, like, unless you're doing the trick match, but I feel that could be. I felt that was a tease for like further away. So
yeah.
I guess Inamura, but that could also be on TV in 2 weeks' time.
We could have Trick defending again. That'll definitely be on Great American Bash. Maybe another TNA wrestler. I'm not quite sure. You could have First Class if the guy is fine to wrestle against Hank and Tank. Right? Like they weren't even really on the show. Sure. They were just backstage again. So I don't really know. I know we'll get Ricky Saints versus Ethan Page. Like,
yes, that seems sort of
Street Fighter
certain.
Yeah. So that's some stuff to look forward to in a few weeks. But we will be back next week, Tuesday, 10:05 p.m. Eastern Time. We do this every Tuesday right after NXT, right here at Post Wrestling and postwrestling.com. But we do so much more. This Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, we will be live with Poisonrana, where Davie and I will be talking all about AEW Grand Slam Mexico tomorrow from Arena, Mexico. Very excited about that show. Plus SmackDown, R-Truth, John Cena, and everything else going on in the world of wrestling. And the audio is uploaded afterwards on the Poisonrana free feed, which you should hit that follow, hit that subscribe in your podcast app or any of your social media apps, because not only Sunday we'll be talking all about that, but tomorrow I'm going to upload The Champ is Here, episode 9, Benno and Hamflet, who joined us for free. So check that show out this week as well. And patreon.com/Poisonrana. $5 to become a friend. You get access to all the shows, our Hot Fuzz review, our When Worlds Collide 1994 review, and Champ is Here episode 10 featuring Scrump, which we'll be recording tomorrow. So lots and lots of podcasts, and we can't do it without our friends out there. So appreciate the love, everyone. And and I'm sorry, Friday the 13th review, I may have said some choice words for Corey Feldman, and I apologize because I love Corey Feldman. 2 people have called me out saying, I thought you loved Corey Feldman, and you're right. So I take back what I said. I don't remember what I said, but I love Corey Feldman, and I want it to be known right here. I appreciate everybody out there at Poisonrana Pod, as I said, and we'll chat very, very soon. Peace and love to all of you. Take care. Goodbye, and be safe.
Ahoy!